Welcome to Living by Oak Values. I'm here with my friend Rob, and I will guide you through aligning your actions with your core beliefs. We are excited to share stories, insights, and the values that guide our lives. Whether you're a long-time listener or new here, welcome. Visit us at northmancoaching.com for your free toolbox and updates. Let's dive in. Happy listening.
Today we're going to be discussing passion. It's kind of what you love and enjoy doing. But also, purpose is about why you do it and what you do. And if it aligns with your values or if it aligns with your goals. And many people find that their passions can lead them to discover their purpose and vice versa.
And our guest today is Paul Stroessner, and he is the creator of GenX Journeys, and they celebrate resilience and reinvention.
Welcome, Paul. Thank you for joining us.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. Well, you pronounced my name right too. I don't even think
I actually would have got it wrong if I hadn't listened to your podcast again today. I actually had to write it down, spelled it Stroessner.
Exactly. Yeah. Silent O throws everybody off. But thank you so much. This is a blast. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing, and I love the whole meaning behind this, and and I enjoy my deck of cards and everything. So this is great.
Awesome. So before you tell us about what you're doing over there with your GenX Journeys, I have one question for you. I've got a couple, but we'll start off with, how do you stay motivated when working towards your goals?
I just keep moving forward. I one of my mottos is to do at least one thing a day that you enjoy. Make sure you do one thing so you don't get stuck in a rut. And we're gonna be touching on it today. Once you discover your passion, it really motivates you. It's not always easy, but when you have that goal in mind, when you have you enjoy what you do, and it just really keeps you motivated. And I do a lot of different things, so that also helps us. So if I'm feeling low in one area, like if I'm not in a podcasting mood, I'm also working on writing my first book. So I'll do some writing and reading. I also have a book club. So so I have like there's a few different things that I do, and I love all of it. So there's always something that really motivates me to keep going. So
excellent.
Well, while you're on the topic, tell us about all the different avenues that you've been doing. Give the readers or listeners something to chew on.
Yeah, it's funny. We're talking about passions on here, and I have several, and it took me a long time to figure out how to package it all at once. Because when I was younger, when I was 10 years old, I wrote my first short story. And I loved writing stories. I'd write my friends in it and my stories and everything. But by the time I got to high school, I kind of fell away from it. And when I started high school, then I started running cross country. So then that started a running journey. And it was fun running in the woods and everything. And I really enjoyed doing that. And I ended up being the captain of the cross country team. And then I kind of fell away from that after I graduated high school. And probably around I graduated high school, give my age, I graduated high school in 1988, and I went in the Navy and everything, and then I went back to school afterwards, and I got a degree in computer information systems. So I've been a computer programmer since 1996. But like I said, I was writing when I was younger, and my passion was always writing. I just kind of avoided it. So in 2010, I started my blog, Return to the 80s. And so I'd write articles, and that was a lot of fun because I love I love writing and reading and history, but yet I became a computer programmer, even though I didn't like math or science. So I was kind of like off, I was misaligned. So once I started writing the blog, it just kind of lit something up inside of me. And I just loved doing that so much. And then eventually it turned into a podcast. And then in the meantime, then I was way out of shape. So then I went to the gym. I got a personal trainer, and she asked me about my history. I told her I was the captain of the cross country team. And she said, I'll have you run a 5K in 3 months. It was a downtown jingle in Providence that she's going to have you run without stopping. So I did that, and it was totally different than high school. It was atmosphere was incredible, so positive. It just like lit me right up, and so I loved it. I fell in love with it again. Yeah, make a long story longer, I ended up having like a major injury
Mm.
my ankle, and so then I couldn't run for a little bit. And then when I was able to start running again, I was out for a run, and the idea came to me to run a race, at least a 5K in all 50 states, because I like the idea of traveling. And I said, oh, I could do a blog, so that would incorporate my writing and the running and the traveling. And I found out that a lot of races have charities, so then I promote the charities because I love that doing that work as well. So I got to combine all that. At the same time, I was doing Return of the '80s, but I couldn't figure out a way to combine, that. So I kept it separate. I had the podcast Return of the '80s, and then I started the podcast Journey of the Roadrunner. That's RHODE. So, and being a Rhode Islander, and then I felt like I wanted to inspire other people, tell other people's stories, and not just focus on mine. So last year I did a rebrand of Inspiring Journeys for a year, and Gary was a guest on one of my episodes as well, talking about this.
Yeah.
And that was a blast, bringing guests on that just totally inspired me, and I know they're inspiring listeners and everything. Then just recently, oh, last year I also started a book club called the Gen X Book Club, because there's nothing like that out there for our generation. Once a month we'll cover a book. I have a couple of co-hosts, Del and Suzanne. So each month we cover a book, and one month it'll be fiction, the next month it'll be a memoir or nonfiction. And this past month I had Diane Franklin on. She's an actress. A lot of people from our generation will know her. She was in Better Off Dead, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And when she came on, she said that she loved the idea of what we were doing because there's nothing else like it. And just the way she said it just clicked. I was like thinking, yeah, that's right. I am unique. I can, and it just everything just fell into place clearly. I could combine the generation with the inspiring journeys, so I can still have the message of inspiring journeys, but have it more aimed towards Generation X because we have, specific, we're midlife now, and we have issues that other people might not have. You have aging parents, kids going into college, and health and fitness stuff for people our age. So I decided to target that, and just been lighting me up, the idea of doing this. So,
Wow. No, that is, you have a lot of passions. And I was sitting
mhm.
there going, man, you're like one of those people with a lot of passion, like a Renaissance person. Who delve into all the different varieties of art. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
hmm Oh, and also I ended up going in 2019. I went back to school and I got my master's in creative writing,
Mm.
which led to me to start writing I'm doing a memoir series called Journey of the Roadrunner. So I'm going to cover 10 states in each book. So I'm also doing that as well. So yeah, yeah. So I have all these passions that I'm combining all together. Yeah.
So you're going to cover each state in the book that you run in?
Yeah, yeah. So the first book will have I've completed 12 so far, so I'm going to cover 10 in each book. So I have enough for the first book right now.
And what do
So
you
Mm.
write about for each city?
I
About the run
open
itself or the background of the city or what's going on?
about my travels there, about the city, and also highlight the charity that I was running for, because they have a story. They have stories as well. There's some really incredible ones. And just like, yeah, just almost like a travel book.
Hmm.
But I open probably first third or half is about how I got into running and my whole running journey, my injuries and everything, and the stuff I need to overcome to start this. And yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So with your Return to the 80s, your two podcasts, your running, your short story writing, your book that you're writing, your book club that you run, what is one lesson that you learned the hard way with all of that that you wish you had known earlier in life?
That I need to follow my instincts, follow my gut, because like I said, I've been a computer programmer for so long. I when I went to college to get my bachelor's degree in computers, I took humanities. This was a business school, and everybody hated humanities because it combined like art and literature and history, and I loved it. That was one of my favorite classes, and I took a Mark Twain honors course, and I aced that. And so I loved all the writing stuff, but then I struggled with the computer stuff. But then I still kept sticking with the computers instead of going with my instincts and trying to look into doing some writing. Now that I'm following my instincts more and going with my gut, everything seems to be falling into place. So,
Excellent.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Basically, going after your passion, you take those steps, those first steps into your passion, and you kind of alluded to that, Robert. Then you find your purpose along the way. So, yeah, it's an incredible feeling.
There was a quote that we come Jennifer Lee who said, "Be fearless in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire." And that sounds exactly what you did.
Hmm.
And I know I do a lot throughout the day, but at the same time, Gary always asks me, is like, how in the world do you get any sleep? Because you do so much. And then I hear your story and I'm like, dang, dude, have you like figured out a way to add more time in your hours? Because I don't. So I was like, wow.
I think I'm the laziest one in the bunch right now.
Yeah. But
Well,
with
yeah. One way to get more hours is to not watch TV or do less
What if you
scrolling.
don't watch
So
TV already? Then what?
I don't know.
I was ready to write that down. I'm like, I don't watch TV. Crap.
Yeah, but with
Yeah.
so much on your plate, I would worry that I would not get something done and that would hinder me in other aspects. What is one thing that you feared recently and how did you overcome it?
I guess I fear that not sure what I'm doing. I don't know if people will if I'm gonna connect with people or if I'm just wasting my time. But then I just overcome it by just taking those steps. And then as I'm going along, then I'm getting some feedback from people saying that, yeah, what I said really resonated and they needed to hear that today. And so then that fires me up. So you just gotta keep taking those steps. And there's a quote from Zig Ziglar that I love. So you don't have to be great to what was it? You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So
Mm.
you just gotta need to start. You just need to do it and overcome that.
That is one of my favorite quotes because I tend to sit on my one spot on the couch with the great ideas that I'm going to start in 5 minutes, no, 20 minutes. Tomorrow. We're going to do this tomorrow.
Yes, he will call
Procrastinating.
me going, "We'll do this tomorrow." And I'm like, "Well, dude, it's like 10 o'clock at night. Let's get started." Nope, tomorrow, Robert. It's like, he's
At
got
10
a
o'clock, I hit the
bedtime.
witching hour. I start falling asleep.
Yeah, I kind of yeah, that's around what time I try it. I have that was the Amazon Alexa, and I have it set at 9 o'clock to say it's time for bed, but then I end up going to bed like an hour later. But since this rebrand, it's something I have this energy, and I never set my alarm unless I have training in the morning, like if I have to be at the gym at a certain time for personal training. Otherwise, I never set my alarm. But lately, I've been getting up at 4:30 in the morning, just wide awake and ready to go. So yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
doing something that fires you up.
Can you give us a routine or a habit that you have adopted that helps increase your positive life or purpose?
When I get up, I'll go to the gym in the morning. And if I don't go to the gym in the morning or I'll go running, then I'll go after work. And then when I come home, or if I go to the gym at night, I get up and have my coffee and everything. And I've been writing like a daily quote every day that I've been posting for everybody. And then yeah, I do a couple of social media posts, especially for my it was the Return of the 80s like when I was GenX Journeys. I've been posting movie. I do a lot of entertainment stuff too, still the movie and albums that I've been posting. So I do that, and then I have my day job. So I work from 8 to 4:30. Lately, sometimes if I come too early, if I get a wall, sometimes I will take a power nap for a half hour for my lunch. So after work, I'll eat and do some reading. preparation for my podcast. And I use a Google Calendar, so I even have work on my calendar, like when my work on my calendar as well. So yeah, I try to stay organized that way.
Well,
Yeah.
It's got to be the organization that you have, because
Hmm.
what you just said to me, like I need to go to bed. I'm tired from listening. I'm like, wow, that you have got a full plate.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No.
how do you how with all this stuff going on and managing your time and your day job and all this other stuff, how do you celebrate your achievements?
I don't know. I guess I don't really look like just doing the achievements like celebration enough. And for my running, I travel and go to races, and that's amazing. Just I love traveling, so I love doing that. Yeah, I don't know if I do anything specific, but but on I officially launched. I called it my official launch date of GenX Journeys this weekend. I actually took the day off of work for that, so I enjoyed the day, setting everything up, and I
Nice.
podcasted that day with Craig Siegel, and yeah, so I just took time to myself, took a break from work, and yeah, so I take time for myself, I suppose. It's-
Okay.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
So when I was going through a hard time and I was doing the small steps, just like you kind of described, it took me a while to realize that I could turn around and see my footsteps to where I have achieved. Have you done that? Have you sit there and turned around and said, "Look how far I've come"?
Oh, absolutely, and that is definitely something I struggled with before. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Even just the podcast. I was afraid to podcast because I didn't like the sound of my own voice, and I was not confident at all, especially talking with other people. I was always I when I was growing up, I was super shy, and
Mm.
so it was a struggle. And then I look back and see how far I've come, even just within this past year, and I've just taken these giant steps, and hopefully
Hmm.
doing a quantum leap this year. So yeah, but yeah, and it's important to see how far you've come, and that actually helps motivate you as well to know that you're on the right track. And yeah,
So quick question. What is the best 80s movie in existence?
oh boy, I love so many of them. Well, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so if I had to pick 80s, yeah, The Empire Strikes Back. But
Okay. Well, so Gen would Gen X movies would be from the 80s, right?
Mhm.
yeah, or even late 70s as well. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Star Wars, the original was my jam. Yeah. That really, I think that's kind of what helped open me up to writing and everything. The hero's journey, Luke
Mm.
Skywalker, and just like whole science fiction thing. It just changed my life. And it came out at a time when I was what, six turning seven in the year that it came out, and we had just moved from Providence to Warwick, to the city I was in, and it came out the month that we moved, and then I made friends easy because we were talking about Star Wars, because that was back in the day, that was a giant thing. And I
Still
don't
pretty big.
yeah, yeah. So it was just something about that time, and it just really connected with me. So just the storytelling of it, and that's kind of what inspired me to start writing. And yeah, yeah, it literally
Excellent.
changed my life. So yeah.
All right. What's the best 80s song or Gen X song?
Uh, it's always changing every day, but usually my go-to is the song "Escape" by Journey. Everybody goes to "Don't Stop
Okay.
Believing," but the
Yeah.
song, the title track of the Escape album is incredible. It's
Okay.
really uplifting. And it's about chasing your dreams, actually. So you've got dreams you're living for. So
You gonna sing it for us?
yeah.
We got to pay for
I,
that one.
yeah.
I my favorite go-to 80s song is "Eye of the Tiger." I'm
Oh
pretty sure it's the
yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very motivating.
Yeah, that was when that came out. That was my favorite song when that came out, for sure.
Gotcha.
Yep. Rocky 3, 1982.
Yes.
Mm.
We'll leave this. We're going to leave this part in for sure when we edit. How did you, if you grew up in Providence, moved to Warwick, how did you become a New York Mets fan?
Well, I actually have roots in New York because my dad grew up in Brooklyn. Yeah, so I had that New York connection. So growing up, like because I'm really close to my dad and always talking about baseball, and he was from Brooklyn, so the Brooklyn Dodgers were there, but then they moved to LA. So that he was there for the Yankees for that dynasty with Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and he was what, like 15 in that 61 season and stuff. So I always heard about the Yankees.
Hmm.
But and when I started playing Little League, I was in an instructional league and we only had two teams, the Yankees and Red Sox, and I was on the Yankees. So I was kind of leaning towards the New York teams, but I kind of like I always root for the underdog. And then I found out about the Mets. And then I have family members and good friends of my dad that were talking about the Mets, and they sold me on them. And that was before they were good. I didn't even know Tom Seaver was on the Mets, at that point, because they had traded. He was on the Reds at that time, so they had like players that weren't the greatest. Maybe Dave King was a big star, but then it was like a Mookie Wilson, and then Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, and then I went to Shea Stadium, stayed with my dad's friends, his best friend in New York, and we went to a couple of Mets games, and just being in that environment when they were really good, and that just like put it over the top. Yeah.
Well, I had to ask that question because I think this is going to be the year, totally off topic, that we will be good again for a nice stretch.
Yep. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. It was surprising last year. I was really hot for them. Yeah. And and of course the '86 season they were in the World Series, the Red Sox. I was in it's a Red Sox country here. They're either Red Sox fans or the Italians in Rhode Island love the Yankees. I think ever since because of Joe DiMaggio connection. So they're either Red Sox, mostly Red Sox and some Yankees fans. So I was one of the lone Mets fans. I was outnumbered, and then I was so happy that they won.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So, getting back to our passions.
Yes. That is a passion. It's my passion.
I was just going to say
that. If there was one book that you would say that somebody could read to help them find their passion or purpose, what book was that helped you?
You know what? It might be a little on the nose, but I'll say Craig Siegel's Reinvention Formula that came out, because I was already starting down the personal development thing. That's another thing I was passionate about back in the day. When I was in the Navy, I joined EMWay, and that's like a multi-level marketing thing. But that's when I was first introduced to personal development. It's when I discovered how to win friends, influence people, Think and Grow Rich, Magic of Thinking Big, and stuff like that. So that was my introduction to that. Again, I fell away from that after I got out of the Navy. So that's something else I fell out of and then came back to recently. So I started following, personal development people again, and then Craig was a guest on a podcast. I loved what he was saying because I was in the middle of reinventing myself, my writing and everything. And at this point, he's run 8 marathons. So he talked about running, and so he did everything. We had everything in common. So I said, "Oh, this dude's cool." So I ended up buying his book, and we connected and everything. And his book is incredible, and it really hit home for me. Yeah, so I highly recommend that. And the short chapters, no fluff. He gets right to the points, and so everything he says there was just inspiring to me, and helps me know that I'm on the right track. Yeah.
So what's better, the book or the audiobook?
Well, I didn't listen to the audiobook, but just knowing him, when you read the book, you can hear his voice. So he writes how he speaks. So
I don't know if he even does he read the book? I have it, but I haven't got there yet.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think he said that he did that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And if you ever heard Craig Siegel, he has a very heavy New York accent. So yeah.
I just heard him for the first time on your podcast.
Yeah.
And I had no idea he had that thick accent.
Yeah, because he's from New York. He lives in Manhattan, so yeah.
So I'm from New York too. I don't have that. Yep, I don't have what he has. That's for sure.
Yeah. You don't even have the Long Island accent. What's up with that?
No, I think I left there 20. I left there 20 years ago. More than that, 30 years ago. Sorry.
Because you were in the Navy too. That's right. So yeah. So that I would have a stronger accent myself. Well, I had a hybrid of New York and Rhode Island. But I lost all that when I went in the Navy. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Paul. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for sharing that with us.
Dude, that was amazing. Your passionate journey is very, very inspiring. So we greatly appreciate you coming up. And folks, that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us today on Living by Oak Values. If you love what you heard, hit the subscribe button and stick around for more inspiring conversations. Got thoughts or want to dive deeper? Share your story or snag a free session at northmancoaching.com. Oh, and if you got a story worth sharing, why not be a guest on the show? Drop us a line. We love to hear from you. Join us next week for another inspiring episode. Until then, keep embracing your values and stay authentic.